Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. Because today I'm going to be doing a review of something that I bought a while ago, and I just finished it a few days ago. This would be Haunt, the Complete Collection. It is written by Robert Kirkman. And yes, Robert Kirkman. With and artist Ryan Ottley, artist Greg Capullo, and inker Todd McFarlane. Anyway, so here it is. Let me read the back again just to if you didn't see me doing a haul video on it. It says, unsaintly priest Daniel Kilgore is dragged into a life of murder and espionage by the ghost of his estranged brother Kurt. A surprise fusing of Kurt's ghost with Daniel's body creates a chain reaction, turning the brothers into the character Haunt. Guided by his deceased secret agent brother, Daniel begins a new life as secret agent Haunt, and must discover the truth behind his brother's murder. Dark secrets are unraveled, and new mysteries arise as Daniel enters the deadly game of cat and mouse. Okay. So, what we have here, I hadn't heard of this till I saw the book. But I saw this and it looked kind of interesting. So, it starts out here, you have a guy sitting there banging his, or just leaving his little prostitute girlfriend. And of course, it turns out that he's a priest. And of course, they've got to have it. Priests or, whatever. And then he goes back to his parish and he winds up giving confession to his brother, and you find out that his brother and he are estranged. See, which, I don't know if people did research on this, but most of the time, a priest will not give confession to family members. I know for a fact my younger brother is a priest, and he's just like, I will not give you confession. I'm like, I will not go to you anyway, even if you wanted to. But I guess that just, for the sake of drama or something of them not knowing. But you find out that they're estranged, and I guess he wants him to go talk to his ex-wife. And it turns out that, what the reason for them being estranged was that Daniel was dating the girl first. I guess this is before he became a priest. And then his brother took over, started dating her and wanted to marry her. So that led to one of the big things of estrangement. And then, they're opposing jobs. One's a spy that does all sorts of bad shit. And then the priest who's supposed to be, not doing bad stuff. But what happens to the brother, which was Kurt, he's on a mission to recover a notebook of this doctor who's doing all these really horrible medical experiments on like genetic mutation, doing all sorts of really horrible experiments on humans. and he's trying to get the doctor and the notes for the government, and they catch him. They realize that he's actually doing this stuff on kids, and he kills the guy and takes the notes. But then the brother gets killed himself, and the notebook gets taken. That's why he comes back as a ghost to Daniel, and somehow they get fused, and turns out that somehow he becomes Haunt. That is something that happens when that happens. They find out later, and so it is a Spider-Man like character. Think of the Venom Spider-Man. It's something along that lines. Who they shoot stuff out of his body. He can control, stuff. But the only problem is the longer in it, the more energy it sucks up from him, and it can kill him if it stays on they stay together too long. So they have to separate, and they go looking for the people that killed him. And Daniel winds up giving up being a priest and going full time with Daniel's employers, and he told them what's going on, and they believe him for some reason, and they send him out on missions, going up against this kind of main bad guy group, and that is really cool up until. And you're learning more about this Haunt because the character and the powers, because there is a woman that they met at the very beginning who is a Hispanic lady who she was able to tell them what was going on. She was one of the people they saved. And they go back to her, and she's kind of like this, deals with magic and stuff like that. And the afterlife, she understands what's going on. She's able to tell him, and they learn more from her and how to control the fusion. That's what I call it, not what they call it, but the Haunt. And that is good up until the end of the first few arcs. But then there's a all of a sudden, they end a couple of major big arcs, and he gets captured. Daniel gets captured by some bad guys and is tortured. Starts getting tortured for something. And then all of a sudden, because here is all the art in here. This is Capullo art, which is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, speaking of beautiful, look at that. Just this incredible Capullo art. They have, which is amazing. And the story is very well crafted. But then you get this story where he gets captured right after, like, the main bad guy and the head of the organization make a deal to go after, to do something, and they disappear on him. Right here, right, and then he gets. And he's captured, and then all of a sudden the art changes. So it looks like somebody else is doing, on issue 19 out of 28. And he's captured, and there's this organization called the Second Church. At some point, someone says people confuse it with the Catholic Church and it's not. That's what they're saying in the story. And they're after Haunt, and they're after all this occult stuff. And torturing him, and it just goes into this really weird, tangential story, forgetting a lot of some of the plot points that have been laid out in earlier issues, like where did this organization, where did all the people from the organization go? Because Kurt and Daniel go back to the place where the offices were. They're gone. Nobody told them where they're going. What is the leader of this organization, the leader of the company that they worked for, and the bad guy? What deal did they make, and where are they going? All this, and he's captured, and then he gets freed by some weird looking hippie dude who can see Kurt and knows about that stuff and is sending people off into the light. And he's this badass martial arts guy just dealing with that stuff for the last 9 or 10 issues, only to find out that a lot of it is something going on in his head. And that's where it ends. So the last few issues just didn't really, huge drop in quality of art, story, and it just seems like they just dropped the ball on stuff, and it just, and I can see why it, people just, I'm assuming that people stopped reading it because it just ended in this big kind of, at the end of an issue, which is kind of a cliffhanger, and unless they meant it to end that way, but they hadn't answered a bunch of the dangling storylines from before. So, and this had, I don't even think Kirkman was writing it at this point anymore. I mean, here, if you look at this, this guy right up here on the, right by my head, right here, that's supposed to be the guy from earlier that they had earlier, the drawing. So it doesn't even look like him. Shows you the drop in the quality of the art. And the writing is just kind of, so I'm of a split opinion on this. The first 18 issues are great. Then 19 through 28, so that'd be like the last 9, maybe 10 issues, are not so good. But overall, I guess I can give this a 3.25 out of 5, just because of how well and written and how well drawn the story is, up till issue 19 or 18, 19. And then there's the dip in quality. That's what takes it down. So if you're a big Kirkman fan and you're into stuff like this, then I recommend it. It's only $49.99 cover price, and I'm sure you can get it cheaper on some of the like in stock trades or something like that. So if you can get it cheap or get it like a half price books place or something like that, and you're a Kirkman fan, go ahead and get it. But that's the only way I can recommend you getting it is at a discount. Don't pay full price for it, because not $50. But anyway, let me know if you read it. Let me know what you thought of it. Tell me if you think I'm wrong or not. Like, subscribe, possibly share, and most of all, enjoy your comics.